All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Locker Room Sports. I'm your host, Big Matt. Thanks for coming by here on a beautiful Tuesday evening here. Fall is in the air. Man, we got some great weather going on, nice and cool this morning. I'm sure that we can all appreciate that and glad that it's here. Today, we're going to break down the Baylor Bears. What kind of chance does Auburn have against this team? They got some veterans playing up front. Quarterbacks throwed for a lot of yards, but really does it, going to mean anything? Are they going to be good enough on defense to stop Auburn and their receiving core there they've got? Come back and let's find out together.
Welcome to Locker Room Sports Talk.
All right, guys, welcome in here back to Locker Room Sports, where getting all your college and high school entertainment right here 3 days a week, big shows on Sunday, always the same bat time and the same bat channel, YouTube and Facebook. Hey, if you're already here, hit the thumbs up button. So I would appreciate it, whichever one you're at. We surely would appreciate it a lot. Hit the subscribe button if you're over there on the old YouTube. So today, the Baylor Bears are going to be the first victims of the Tigers. We're fired up about it. We got to talk about our SEC opponents here. What's this likelihood that we've talked about Auburn? We've broke them down through the summer. We've probably talked about them 2 or 3 different times on here. We know about the quarterback. We know that he's been brought in from Oklahoma. I mean, we've talked about Auburn enough. And I think people, if you're watching, you're probably an Auburn fan or just a football fan. But maybe you don't know a lot about Baylor, or maybe you're just thinking, well, we got this game. This going to be just a cakewalk here. It's not going to be a big deal at all for us. Well, I got some news for you, and we can lay this all out kind of like a law case. We're going to lay it out. We're going to give you the facts. These are not opinions. We'll give opinions towards the end, but just give you some idea about the Baylor Bears. They've been playing football for a long time. They hadn't been conference champions, and I think since 21, I think they won it. I think they won the Big 12. It's been a couple of years ago, 2020. So it's been a while since they've won it, not too long. But other than that, they've been relevant in this era. In this past couple of decades, they win the Big 12, every now and then. We all know that RG3 played out there. And if you watch, I think he's on Fox Sports, you know who he is. He won the Heisman that year just off of really one play of beating Oklahoma. So we have an idea who Baylor is. They're a small college, come out over there in the part of Waco, Texas, and their blue chip ratio. We'll start off with that. Okay. What is blue chip ratio? Well, this guy that breaks all this stuff down gives a percentage of your team or recruits that you've had. What percentage of the team is blue chip players? Well, for Baylor, they're going to be 14% blue chip players. 14% of what they have is blue chip players. Now, we're going to say, well, that's not a lot. No, it's not. It's not. And they're in the Big 12. But like I've said, they're a confident program. I mean, they've won the conference probably as many times as Auburn has, I guess. I mean, they go back to, the 1910s and 20s of, winning some games back then. Auburn's blue chip ratio is 64, which is a lot more than Baylor's, 50% more. So that's good. So in relevance, who's the top of the SEC in relevance of blue chip players? I'm just giving you another number so you can bounce this off of that to give an idea of what's a lot and is this, a big number for Auburn. Bama being the top blue chip ratio percentage team in the SEC, they're 90%. Blue chip players. So Baylor 14%, Auburn 64%. So you're thinking, well, man, that Baylor shouldn't even be able to line up with Auburn. Well, they've been in a little gloom and despair over the past 5 or 6 years, and losing to Cal last year, which is I would say Baylor's probably better than Cal. I mean, wouldn't you just kind of think they would be? I think so. So we know already about injuries and stuff. Pretty much for the most part, I think Auburn's pretty healthy. So far as the matchup wise, I think things are going to come in on top for them. Baylor's tailback, what was his name? Pendergrass. He's going to be out. He was their number 2 running back. Now, I think that can it's going to make a little bit of a difference because the running back, the Washington kid, he rushed for 1,000 yards last year. He's 6 foot tall, 220 pounds, your typical style running back that you like to see. Okay. Now, also last year, stat wise, and the way you can try to base a winner off some of these games, you have to know what happened to get an idea of what's going to happen. And that don't mean it's true or that's how it's going to be. That's just how you kind of have to base an opinion off of, what they done last year. So like I said, we've broke down Auburn probably 2 different times. If you're a fan of them, you know the team they have. And their depth chart did come out, and it's pretty easy to find Auburn's depth charts out there. Now, as far as Baylor, we'll talk about the quarterback play. Now, their quarterback play, Sawyer Robertson, I remember him coming out, and he had some really good numbers, coming out of high school. He played over there in Texas in a little area. He's a good quarterback. Throwed for, 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 8 picks. His coming into the season, they wound up winning the last 6 straight games. Baylor did from him coming in, and that was he just kind of took the team over, and I think he kind of took people by surprise, maybe. So that's got to be an account. You got to talk about that. This guy, I mean, if you throw for 3,000 yards in a season, 28 touchdowns and 8 picks, his QBR was. He threw in the LSU game. He threw for 440 yards against LSU. Their defense was about 30th last year. And when you look it up now, you can go to NCAA and go there and just look up total defense, and they'll give you numbers over there. Auburn's is going to be about 20. I mean, that's about where they're ranked at. So defensively, shows that Auburn will be a little bit better. So I hope so, because that they only lost by like 2 scores against LSU last year. So I think that was probably one of his better games. So again, we're trying to compare and then contrast to what's now and compare to now and contrast from what happened. So he is QB1. Sawyer Robertson, like I said, they won the last 6 straight regular season games with him. Walter White, he's come over there from Auburn, and I don't know if he's even the number 2 quarterback over there. He might be. And we talked about their tailback. Bryson Washington, 6 foot tall, 220. He's that build, man. I always say the Mark Ingram looking guy. He's that prototypical running back style. He also run track. He plays basketball and stuff. He run 100 meters. He had some set times when he played high school football down in Florida. So I'm saying they have some speed in the backfield. And so now you want to know, well, what about their offensive line? Well, offensive line-wise, they're all juniors and seniors. So this offensive line of Baylor's is not going to be just a Manby pushover type offensive line that's going to just come in and, I got Falk on the thumbnail for a reason. I didn't want to put Arnold. He's not Auburn yet to me. I mean, he just came over. You need to win some games, man. I mean, he's a transfer guy. And I know, Falk was, originally committed to Florida State and flipped over, but he's been at Auburn, and he's going to be a presence to be known. And I put them on the cover of the YouTube thumbnail there because I think those are the 2 most important guys. Yes, Jackson Arnold is important. The quarterback is important for them to score. But I think Auburn's key is going to lay into this, what I just said. Most of their offensive line at Baylor, they're all juniors and seniors. And they're not small guys. All these guys are, 290, 275 pounds. These are big guys that can move the line of scrimmage around. This guy rushed for over 1,000 yards. It was like 1,030. So if you have a tailback to go for over 1,000 yards in the season, the offensive line can't be that terrible. And they got all these guys back. So I think that's a big piece of it. Now, tight end play, and they're going to come in and play like a 12-man set where you have a tailback and a tight end. Their tight end, this Trigg guy, he's supposed to be really good. Had good numbers last year. He's going to come back and play again. And offensively, still, wide receiving core. The thing you have to think, you have to put into collection in your filing cabinet when I'm thinking about this stuff. What are they seeing at practice? So how good is Baylor's defensive front? Are they really pushing them around? Because we talk about it all the time. I was just out here at a high school here locally talking about how we need to get a good look. We need our second team, our junior high, to come out there and be physical with the older guys to prepare them for Friday. And that, I think that's a very important part of this. So how's Baylor's defense? Well, they've been okay. All right. They've been in the top 20 or so or 30. But with Aranda, coach, he is a definite defensive strategist. So I'm thinking with this junior, senior, heavy offensive line, that gives them a great opportunity to be able to run the ball in this game. Now, we did say a while ago that Auburn's defense was top 20. Are they going to be the same? Now, last year, Auburn was better up front on their front seven and not quite so good on their D-backs, and they wound up losing Champ earlier in the season from an injury. But this year, the D-backs are a little bit more experienced, not a lot of depth, but the front seven is not. There's just not been some huge standouts, especially on defensive line. And I'm just taking this from what I watch on Auburn podcasts when they talk about practice. We looked at some of their guys that transferred in. They had 23 guys transfer out. But he brought in some other guys, got some 3- and 4-star guys to come in and fill those positions. So how's this matchup going to be? Because we all know if you like football and this is your thing, and if you're watching, I do appreciate it, then you know that the game is won up front. It is. The game of football is won up front. It starts in the weight room, and it's won at the line of scrimmage. Who can hold that line of scrimmage? So now if the line of scrimmage can be taken care of and Washington can run the ball, we've already talked about Robertson, threw for 440 against LSU. He threw for 3,000 yards last year. But, Matt, you told me the first show that Baylor's only got 14% blue chip players. Yeah, Auburn's got 64% blue chip players. Right. So now let's go to who's he going to throw the ball to. We talked about Trigg at tight end that's come back. Well, here's some receivers that's coming back and a big name that's come in. If you're a Bama fan, you will know this. Cole Wilson's come in. Lewis Brown had a pretty good year last year. Kobe Prentice is at Baylor. He transferred for Bama. I thought Kobe I liked him as a receiver. But when Ryan Williams come in, and Jalen Hale was out, Prentice didn't know that Hale was going to get hurt, or he would have got to play more. So now Hale's back with Ryan, and now Bach has moved over, and you got Jermaine Bernard playing. He was leading the team in receiving, him and Ryan. So you got 4 good receivers. So I guess Prentice just felt like he could have more play time over at Baylor. So he's a good receiver. And here's the thing, most time you're going to get fans of other schools to say, if a guy leaves, he was trash anyway. We didn't need him. He'd never started here. I'm not saying that about Kobe Prentice. I think he's a good receiver. And if he would have stayed and when Hale went down, I think he would have played. I think he would have got some time. Now, I don't think he's Williams or Bernard, but he would fit right in with them. He's a good player. It's going to be a big target for Robertson to throw to. Now, Left tackle, Sidney Ferger. He's a name that's just been put on like a All-American watch list, offensive lineman stuff. Usually left tackles get a little extra love. You know, they're going to have more people look at them, and that's just kind of how it is. So with these guys here and the Cameron kid and also Ashton Hawkins, other wide receiver is going to be added to the room, they've got plenty of guys to catch the ball. So that's, you know, offensively, I don't think it's going to be as easy for Baylor to score as it's going to be for them to. This will be one of the harder games on their schedule. So I'm saying I don't think that they're going to score as easy on Auburn as they will, you know, their opponent 2 weeks down the road when they play Colorado and stuff. I think it's going to be a tough test for Baylor. I don't know if athletically that they can match up with defensive line versus Baylor's offensive line. They're going to have to get after Robertson and make him uncomfortable to make him push the ball in windows that he don't want to throw it. Make him make bad decisions. Get after his tail. That's what's going to happen. What's going on, son? Steven, Auburn has got a – I picked Auburn to win this game. And this is not an Auburn video. We did Auburn, I know, twice. We've talked about them. I did a whole thing on their summer camp, players coming in, and all that kind of stuff. So now, what about Baylor defense, Matt? Where do they stand defensively? Do you have a few names? Yes. Their quarterback, they got a guy from Ohio State. This Hunt kid he's a 4-star guy, and he's going to come in. And what I like about Baylor's defense, this is the more side of the ball that I worry. I'm not really worried so much about Auburn's defense, really. Like I said first, they've swapped from last year to this year. D-back wise, they were inexperienced, didn't have a lot, you know. Champ got hurt and put him in a bad spot, and you had to have some guys come in and just grow up. And they wasn't as good back there. I think they're better D-back wise with Strader and those guys and Crawford. I think they're better back there with them. And, of course, Champ, I mentioned him already. But up front, I'm a little concerned with linebacker play and stuff. And going against Washington and this offensive line, the tailback Washington, not the team. You got a lot of juniors, seniors up front. Now, on the other side of it, this is where I am a little concerned. And the reason I am concerned with Auburn's offense versus Baylor's defense a little bit is why this may be a lower scoring game, because it seems like if you can kind of get where I'm going with this, I'm kind of liking the defense of both teams a little better. And because all we can go by is what we've seen. That's all we got to go by. You can stand on the hill and preach that Hugh Freeze is a great coach and he's one of the best to ever do it. He's the quarterback whisperer. We can say a lot of things, but we have to go by what we saw. And what we have saw or seen in the past, going on 3 years now, bad decisions at quarterback play. The coach hanging on to this guys and not developing guys. That's all I have to go on. I can't just throw a bunch of hope into the idea that Jackson Arnold is just going to come out and be great. I don't have a lot of reference to base that on. Besides, he come out of high school as a 5-star kid. There's hundreds of Gatorade players of the year that never got into college and never really did anything. So that at this point, it's meaningless. It's kind of like, what does a 5-star mean when you're going to be drafted? It don't. They're going to measure your intangibles, and there's more 3-stars drafted than 5 because there's more 3-stars. But you see what I'm saying? So I have a little more faith in the defense of this game. I mean, this is going to be like a 28-31 type of game. That's just what I don't think neither one of them – I don't see either team scoring 6 touchdowns. I just don't. Now, defensively, we talked about the Hunt kid from Ohio State. It's a great ad. And when you add a great mind defensive coach like Aranda, it works out. This Aranda, man, I went back and watched some of their games. He'll drop a freaking nose tackle in coverage. I'm pretty sure of this comment. I'll back this up. And I've told you, you've seen the short videos I put up. I've took shot after shot from Baylor people. I'm going to stand on this. Baylor's defensive players are not as good as Auburn's defensive players. It's just not. They're just not. 64% blue chip for Auburn, 14% for Baylor. It's not even close. Athletically wise, they just don't match up. They just don't. Now, the Samu guy, he's a defensive lineman, come in. He's played a lot of snaps, came from A&M. And this defensive end guy, Winston, that come from Oregon, I think he could be some type of difference maker. But the main guy that I want you to keep an eye on, Auburn fans, Barnes kid, a linebacker, he's still there. He made 70 tackles last year. 70. He made 70 tackles. And I think it was it like 50 or so, 50 solo tackles? That's what I'm most interested in. And we talked about the left tackle. And you see me kind of doubting myself a little. I'm kind of a little hesitant. What worries you, Matt? Why are you hesitant from? I mean, you've picked Auburn. Just stand on it. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world, and it's not. But there's just things that concern me as I'm hearing through the summer of practice. And let me explain the first one. The three coaches with the first, second, third down, that I told you, I've been around enough to know. I know what he's doing. I've been around a while. Been to practices, been in the box, helped teams, did coach line, listen to how plays are called and how the coaches scheme plays for downs. Freeze didn't explain it well. So I'm telling you that things that concerned me through the summer, and this is not one. He don't have a guy calling the first down and then the next guy calling the second, and the guy calling the third. It's not. He has their coaches watch film and decide from watching film of their opponent what are the best options for a second down play. You go do what's their best option for third down. And during the game, they're going to put it all together, and they're going to put it on one card, and Coach Freeze is going to have the card. And, yes, I know when he first came, he said he was going to kind of give up some of the play calling and, let his coordinator do it. But I think they've wrestled with that because, Matt, why would they have to wrestle with that? Well, because when he left Ole Miss to come to Auburn, there was a clause. Some people don't know this. There's a clause in his contract. He could not leave the job at Ole Miss for another job to take the same job, calling offense. It had to be more. And he was assisting with Lane. So if he left there, he had to move up. And the way to move up from the job he was at would be he's going to have to be calling the plays. So they have to list him as that. And on the media, on the mics, they have to be careful. I think Freeze is calling the plays. He always has, but they have to list Dixit being able to him calling the plays because it'll be a breach of contract and he'll owe Ole Miss a bunch of money. Those are little snidbits. That's why you need to subscribe here. Because some people might not know that. If that's okay, that's why you come by here to hang out and find out this stuff. Now, that don't bother me because it's not different coaches calling different plays. They study film and they put it all together and make a card to figure out what works best. And then he looks at what works best from their homework. Okay? His assistants, his coaches make cheat sheets. That's how it works. 2, stupid stuff like throwing the hat. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? Who hadn't? If you ain't throwed your hat in it, you probably don't care. That's so stupid. But here's the thing. Auburn is under such a tight microscope because they are an upper mid team in the conference. They hadn't won a title in a long time, I know, and they've got one championship in their contingents. And I'm not here to talk about the styrofoam numbers they stuck on the wall. And I've done all that. They can post what you want to, but we know what it is. It's what I'm saying. We're expecting more out of them. Like, come on, man. I mean, Jesus. I mean, you're not in Alabama, like just, winning it all the time because you had the greatest coach ever, but you're Auburn, dude. Come on. Can you at least win 8 or 9 games a year? Could you beat Bama at least every other year? Or, I mean, could y'all swap back and forth for a while? There's just like last year, the Iron Bowl was pitiful. Mm-hmm. They wasn't even hitting hard. They wasn't even playing hard. We expect more. Because for me, the SEC is, well, right now it's Georgia, Bama. You got to put LSU in there. They've been more relevant and had a lot of 10-win season, won national championship here recently. And it's Auburn. And then Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida's got to be somewhere right there. It's been a while, I know, for Florida. So those things don't bother me either. But what does bother me is when you listen to what Freeze is saying about his quarterback, about playing base zero defense with his defensive coach to make sure that we build the confidence of the quarterback. You're not helping him just poo-poo in practice, because Dave Aranda is not going to poo-poo his defense. He wants to win this game. He wants to beat an SEC team to make a staple and to start at his year well. There's some people, I mean, if you watch Big 12 stuff, they feel about Baylor about like they feel about LSU. They're like, well, I think they're going to be pretty good this year. Quarterback plays, throwed for a lot of yards, got a junior, senior heavy offensive line. You got a tailback that's run for over 1,000 yards. You got 3, 4, 5 good receivers, pretty good. Kobe Prentice is going to probably lead the pack, I would guess. Defensively, I've named some of these guys off here that look good for them. So there's that. So the confidence, it seems that poo-poo in practice for Freeze to kind of pet Jackson a little bit to get him ready. And I know he ain't been there, that long to just pick up the playbook right away and learn it quick. That worries me a little. Now, there's talking about throwing some picks at practice, and that was Daniels, the third string kid they brought in from Stanford. I know they just had to get somebody else to go to throw with the second team, pretty much him and Deuce. And on the depth chart, it's got him, Daniels, or Deuce, his second team quarterback. There's no way Deuce can be. He should be head and shoulders above Daniels. This shouldn't even be close. Why would he even list him as R? Second team quarterback, Deuce, or Daniels? I don't understand that either. I'm talking about depth chart. We might as well bring that up too. Why has he got Thompson over there under the Harold kid? I don't understand. This is supposed to be those three, electric receivers, him and Cam and Singleton. I mean, right, they were supposed to be the guys. But this Hurd receiver, I ain't really even heard of him, really. I ain't heard of him. And I hadn't heard, and I watch Auburn stuff too. I don't remember people talking about him in the summer. And they got him playing, at this position. I don't know. That worries me a little bit too. So, to wind it all up, I've got Auburn to win this game. They should win this game by 10. It should be a 31-21 game, 31-34, something like that. I think it's going to be close for a while. I think they're going to come out really excited. And sometimes the jitters, Auburn's going to be on the road. There's a lot of pressure on Freeze, man. There's a lot of pressure on him. Is he just the old cat on the block that, had a good run for, 2 or 3 years or so at Ole Miss? Thought he had a good quarterback in Bo Wallace, which we never heard from again. He has no consistency. That was always the problem with his quarterbacks. I didn't ever understand the quarterback whisperers. It's because they beat Alabama. And if you beat like Johnny Manziel, you beat Bama, well, he's a Heisman winner. Bo would have a good game, throw for 400 against Bama and win the game. Then they'd go play Vanderbilt next week and get beat. So that's why I'm not a fan of him. It's just not consistent enough to lay out a plausible argument to say why. Was he the best hire at the time for them? I guess so. So there are a few things that worry me about what we'd heard at practice. I'm not worried about their defense so much. They improved through the year, but they lost some important pieces up front too. But their D-backs will be okay. But we all know what I started with in the first 5 minutes, and we'll get off here. You win the game up front in the trenches. You win the game by establishing the run. And with having a 1,000-yard rusher in this Washington kid and junior, senior related offensive line, this Robertson kid is thrown for a lot of yards, man. Can Auburn defensively hold up all night? Are they going to come out a little too ramped up? The players feel the pressure of the coach. Can Freeze just kind of let this stuff go? Can he just coach the game and not think about it? Because about half the defense at Baylor is seniors. They got 12 seniors on defense and 9 on offense. Now that don't mean there's like they got all 11 on defense starters because they got 12. You know how it works. You'll have sophomores that are better than you have a senior kid there that may not even have played much at all. So I'm just telling you, they got 12 seniors on defense and 9 on offense. Blue chip ratio, Baylor 14%, Auburn 64%. With the Cameron kid, Hawkins, Kobe Prentice catching the ball, Brown, Wilson back also catching the ball. All-American mention for the FUGAR Ferger kid at left tackle. The reason I would even keep it close, Auburn should be able to go, man, it's the freaking Big 12. Guys, come on. They should be able to go as a upper middle team, like 4 or 5 on the list of ranking the SEC teams like Georgia, Bama, LSU. Auburn's got to be right in there. We're expecting more. And it just bothers me that they've just been so bad so long. Like, how could you be so bad? They've controlled the state in recruiting for last year. He had a great year. Not so much this year. And I know the years before Saban, right? Well, Saban, heck, who did win when Saban was coaching? He beat everybody all the time. I mean, in recruiting, he was recruiting top kids out of California and in the state. I ain't comparing it to that. So this year, all these players that you're seeing in Auburn, these are some of Freeze's. They're going to be sophomore guys that he picked up last year before that he got all the guys in state. So how good is our in-state talent here? Well, you're going to get to see a lot of them play. I'm just not sure if I like Alston. And, so I hadn't mentioned Auburn's run game yet, and that's why I want to save it for last. I think he's good. I like the little guy. And they're a little smaller at running back. I mean, weight-wise, they are. Alvin's going to redshirt. Freeze said nicely. I mean, we all know Alvin. Like him, he played down at Elba, covered him for 2 years of high school. But him coming from, Wildcat to Alvin left and Alvin right to coming to a D1 college playbook, it's a lot different. And he'll be fine. But he's just got some learning to do, and that's why you redshirt a guy. So between Alston and Cobb and, they brought in the big dog from Virginia Tech to play left tackle. They got a big guy they brought in out of the portal to play right tackle. Remember, they lost 23 players. After December, they lost a bunch of players. And just some more here, back in the spring, they lost some more guys, some of their DBs. And even some for this recruiting class year they thought to pick up. Flip to Tennessee, flip to Georgia. You got guys, two guys kicked off the team. Well, three. Two arrested and one just kicked off the team. But athletically, man, you got to think that Auburn should be able to beat Baylor. They just should, man. Alston should be able to go in there and run for 200 yards. Jackson Arnold should be able to go in there and run for 100 and throw for 300. But, how does he align himself to be able to recognize the defensive schemes? Talking about Arnold. How's that going to work out for him? We don't know. I mean, how's it going to be? Worst case scenario, if they come out and they can't move the ball very well, and they can settle down and man, you got to be able to run the football. And that's when I start to lay out a game to pick it. The first things I usually kind of think is I usually kind of think of a line of scrimmage, said that 3 times. Who's going to be able to run the ball that can set up the pass? So do you like the Washington kid run for over 1,000 yards? Do you like him better than you do Alston at Auburn? Well, yeah, you kind of have to lean towards the Washington kid. I mean, just, by yards, I know they don't play against the same defense. And you got to consider that. You got to, just it matters by what he's getting to play against. Would Alston also had 1,000 yards if he'd have been running against Big 12 defense, because it's just not real great. It's not. And Alston wasn't the main guy last year, toting the ball. Quiz was. And again, based on what we see last year, that's the only way we can predict stuff is know what we saw. And Freeze would not get off that horse trying to throw and push that ball down the field. He wouldn't run it. There were so many games, 2 or 3, I'm sitting there watching going, run the ball. What are you doing? They'd be ahead in games. He won't start trying to throw the ball, and Thorne's going to throw a pick. He's going to make him a quarterback. If I get embarrassed and lose this game, by God, I'm going to make sure that everybody knows that I'm right, because he'd rather lose the game than be wrong. That's what I left with a taste in my mouth with Auburn last year. Freeze would rather be right and just throw it all to the wind, because he knew Thorne wasn't a good quarterback, but he did not go and get nobody. Now, either that was his doing, or the people that run the university, that run the football team, the boosters, wouldn't cut him loose to get him a check to go get another quarterback. Well, I mean, I know for sure Sellers had talked about it earlier in the year, into last year. They throwed him a $4 million check to come to Auburn. He didn't take it. He didn't want to go. He wanted to stay in South Carolina. Felt like he had a better team over there to have a shot to make the playoffs. And he had a good year last year. That was, on the board. So the money did go out there, but they didn't want to come because they'd only won 6 games that year before and lost in the bowl game. So at some point, Auburn, you're going to have to stand your ground and win a game. You're just going to have to figure out a way to win. Whatever, at all costs, you're going to have to figure out how to win football games. You've got a better team. They're more talent. You've got more talent than Baylor. Just figure out a way to win the stupid game. We're tired of hearing excuses. We're tired of hearing about Freeze this or that, and he said this and that at practice. And Jackson, Arnold's not getting the plays down as well, and the defense is really cooking. So that means the wide receivers are not running good routes, and they can't catch the ball well. Well, we saw that last year. Cam had a few good games at the end of the year. We're watching, and they're talking about it on not running the route right. His hands are hard. He's not got soft hands to catch the ball. What have you done to develop this team to make them better? These guys, their wide receiver room at Auburn is better than Baylor's. We can just make a checklist and help you pick the game if you're not sure who's going to win. Wide receiver room, Auburn. Offensive line, it should be Auburn. It just should. Defensive line, like we're just talking about your major four up front. That may be a draw, maybe. They got a lot of these guys back too, man. These guys, this guy who I mentioned here a while ago, the Barnes kid, made 70 tackles last year, linebacker. Auburn lost some people up front, man. D-back wise, give the check to Auburn. Special teams wise, so we told Freeze the other day that McPherson may not. We don't really know. I mean, They's like they're going to, split time kicking extra points or field goals. That may mean the game. So, and Baylor's got a bunch of seniors, man. They got a bunch of senior heavy special teams guys, punters and kickers, long snappers. They had a long snapper come in, I think, from Nebraska, senior guy. So Baylor gets special teams check marks. Auburn gets DB check. I don't think their DBs are they shouldn't be able to be good enough to cover these receivers. They just shouldn't. Those guys should be able to get open. Jackson should be able to throw them the ball, get it out of his hand quick, play slants, screens, run draws where you smaller tailback, let the offensive line make some pockets, have them zone block, read their keys off the edge and how they're blitzing. If linebackers are peeling out, or with a random, like I said earlier, nose tackles peeling out. Golly, it's going to be hard for Jackson to read that defense, man. It's tough. It is very tough. So mostly by picking these teams down the middle, you have to put check mark towards Auburn. Now, last Tuesday, I broke down Florida State. You go back and watch that video. I told you Florida State loaded with seniors up front offensive line. Got tons of snaps, but none of them together. They only had one guy come back on offensive line. Florida State's DBs, they got a guy or two back there, but they just ain't played a lot. They're not going to be that good. Ty Simpson and those receivers are going to they'll have at least 6 touchdowns in the game. Florida State's going to have a hard time slowing them down. So if you want to watch that about Florida State in the Bama game, go back over there. It's got a picture of Bama and Florida State on the cover. It says week 1. So this week, I want to talk about Baylor. I hope I broke it down good enough for you. I appreciate your time coming by and hanging out. And if I changed your mind, I kind of feel like a lawyer when I do this. It's like I'm laying out a case. And I'm going to make my opinion of a pick. Now, this stuff I'm telling you, though, most of what I've been telling you, it's not an opinion. I'm just telling you what's happened, what I've heard has happened at practice at Auburn. Now, how it makes me feel and how it concerns me, it may not make everybody feel the same way. When you heard that D coach is playing, base 0, so Jackson can get a little more confidence at the quarterback spot there for Freeze. Maybe you're just thinking, well, a lot of coaches do that. Well, maybe if they do, but they're not doing any favors to their quarterback. You can't just Rudy-poo the defense to make your quarterback feel good. You need to freaking go out there and make it as hard as possible. Practice is supposed to be hard. The game's fun. Practice is supposed to be harder than the game. You're supposed to be able to roll out there at practice, and A.J. McCarron said all the time, like, good Lord, man, those defenses I went against, this was like, wow, I'm just out here just sitting back here in the pocket smoking a cigarette. I didn't like that. That to me, that was telling me that Arnold ain't read the playbook well enough. He hadn't he's not grasping all the plays well. And you can see he was aggravated. He throwed his hat that time. That's not a big deal. That happens. That happens every day at practice all around the nation. That's not a big deal. But he's wanting to make sure that he's throwing the ball to where his keys are. This Freeze is kind of, it seems, and I don't have his playbook, but I ain't stupid. He's got a lot of hots on these plays. He's kind of laying it out like, hey, man, look, I've laid this out for you pretty simple. I've just got it. Here's the keys. You're throwing right here to X on this play. Now, of course, if it's double cover or something silly, sure, you're not going to throw it. There should be a lane for it. You take off with it and get 3 or 4 yards and get down. Or just dump it to the back. You know where your screen is. Or wheel, however they run it. That's what I get, make that sly face for, because that kind of worries me a little bit. Because of last year, man, same thing I talked about Thorne. I done talked about it. I ain't gonna tell you. I ain't gonna have to go over it again. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Freeze ain't showed that he can adjust in situations. So what's to make me think that year 3 he's just going to magically go, well, I figured it out now. I know when I need to adjust now. He does it seem like he's just kind of ready to pack it in? Like he's just, well, here we are, we're coach football and I'm going to get $20 million. And if they fire me tomorrow, they'll pay me off my 20 and I'll go fishing. I don't really care. I mean, what have I got to prove? Because these other coaches, I never seen them on the golf course playing. Lane Kiffin, they do their fishing trip stuff, but when it's recruiting season, you're not around the campus in July. You should be there doing everything you need to do to make sure this team. You just won 5 games last year. There should be a panic button hit. Burn, panic, alarm. You won 5 games. But he said, well, I'm there when I'm supposed to be in time. When it gets 4 o'clock and I ask on my own time. Sure, okay, that's fine. You say whatever you want. And fans are going to take up for him anyway. It don't matter what he did. If he's at the strip club, they're going to take up for him because he's already done all that type of stuff. And they still hired him anyway with knowing his past. So it don't matter what you say. Somebody's going to be right. Somebody's going to be wrong. It's not a wrong or right answer. I'm just telling you what happened. He was playing golf in July. I don't remember seeing Kirby out on the golf course. That's why he's got the top recruiting class right now. It also helps that he wins 10 games consistently every year, and it also helps he's got 2 rings on his finger from Georgia. That helps a lot. Auburn's in the middle of a big mess. It's work. The fans are not going to admit it because that's what fans short for fanatic. They're not going to tell you that it's a dumpster fire. They're stamping years that they were on probation. They're stamping years on their stadium down there that they won these titles. Terry Bowden is claiming a title the year that his daddy won it. Auburn was banned that year from postseason play. They're scrambling. They're trying to keep these kids and trying to throw money out to keep these kids on campus. That's why they didn't have a good recruiting class this year. They got this one guy that's got them up in the top 25. But if December comes and you got to win, and they got enough talent. Their schedule's not hard. There's no reason for Auburn not to win 8 games. None. No reason at all. 0. If he can't win 8, done. You're gone. So if he wins 7 after the ball game, he better win the ball game, make it 8. There's no reason for them not to win more. They got enough talent to win some games. They're going to have to figure out a way to win. They've got to come out swinging and win this first game. They've got to. They've got to come out swinging and win this first game. It's important for the program. Because if you want to have recruits, how do you get recruits, Matt? Well, win games. They're attracted. Kids are attracted by winning programs and knowing that they have a chance to be seen on TV, to get on ESPN, and then one day to go to the league and to make a lot of money. That's the whole point of all this. Auburn, you got to win this game. Let's go do it for the SEC. I'm pulling for them, man. Our conference, dude, 2 years in a row, we've got smacked. And if we can put together a good group of about 6 good teams, and I don't think Ole Miss is going to be one, so we need Auburn to step up and take that spot where Ole Miss – I just don't think Ole Miss is going to be that good. Their defense is going to be a mess. Their quarterback's electric, but so is Taylor Green at Arkansas. And the Mateer kid at Oklahoma, they're talking about giving him the Heisman. How good are they going to be? So we need Auburn to be that 6th team this year to get in the playoff, at least get in the playoff, at least get in there and be ranked 11 or 12. And it's going to have to start Friday night. Friday night's got to start. Guys, appreciate you coming by and hanging out with me, breaking down Baylor Bears, quarterback room, their running backs, offensive line, what they got, D-backs. Now so great. Even some of their podcasters are a little worried about their DBs. Got some good linebacker crew, special teams, going to probably go to Baylor. So if y'all fool around down there, this game is going to be close. Probably got a better special teams just by being more senior heavy. You can hit the stars down at the bottom of the screen right there on your Facebook where it says send stars. All you got to do is hit the button there, and it's 99 cents. I appreciate it. Good to see all these people on here. Seth Benefield, what's going on, Big Daddy? Logan Hampton, Kurt Tucker, and Jameson Miller. Stephen, good to see you. A lot of great people in there, and I'd like to say hi to each and every one of you. I do appreciate y'all coming by and hanging out with me here for about 30, 40 minutes, what I like to do on these. Ben, got a shout out here. Ben says there's some good news for Alabama. They said that Jam Miller is expected to be back for the Georgia game. We heard that. True. Alabama removed West Virginia from its 26-27 schedule and replaced it with East Carolina. Okay, that's news. What do we think that we'll see the Elba kid this season? No, he's Alvin Henderson from Elba. Great football player. They redshirted him. So if he cannot play, he can't start. What is it, Ben? Is it 3? I think if you start in 3 games, you lose your red shirt. I think that's right. He can come in and play some. He may get to play like South Alabama game. When they play some lesser than teams, you may get to see him get in there and get some. And he needs those reps. That's all it is, guys. We're Alvin fans, and I'm a fan. Been watching him since he was 15, 16 years old. I'm a fan. This is not weird to see a young man come in from, matter if he's from 1A or 7A, and come in and be redshirted, and just to soak it in. Learn the playbook. They got 2 or 3 guys in front of him that are going to be fine. Cobb has waited his turn. Montgomery Catholic, quarterback there. He's the tailback out there. It's not a big deal. And it's not to Alvin either. He knows he's going to come in and learn the playbook because it's different from playing at Elba. It's a lot different from him just taking a Wildcat snap and being in a D1 school like Auburn. It's different. I think he will get on the field some. And with all the quarterbacks going to play? Is all the quarterbacks going to play for Auburn? That's something else he said. That's just kind of weird. I don't know why he would say that. You kind of wonder if he's just being corny, like Dabo does stuff like that. He's, just kind of that old guy in the room that tries to be funny. Sometimes I hope I'm not that. That's just around the young guys. You're just trying to be funny and make them laugh. You're like, oh, God, who's this guy? I don't know if Freeze is that's what he's doing, or is he really playing a, psychological game with, Aranda to think he's going to have to prepare for all 3 because he's not going to do that. He's going to prepare for Arnold. And his system is still the same no matter who's out there because that RPO style of offense is driven through the quarterback. Most days, it's not like Bama. They're going to drop back, play action, hand it off, throw the ball. It don't run exactly straight through the quarterback. The quarterback can hand the ball off a lot more in that style of offense, a pro style of offense, than an RPO game. So I'm still going with Auburn to win the game. I still like them by 10. There's no reason that those athletes in Auburn cannot go to Waco and outmatch Baylor's athletes. I think it's going to be a good battle up front. I think that both defenses I think it may be a 7-7 game at the end of the first quarter going late into the second. That's what I'm thinking. Because they're going to be nervous, and the defense is always ahead of offense. Okay, first game's defense is see ball, hit ball. Okay, coaches out there watching it, the offense is more you're learning your scheme and your plays and how guys are getting open, how they're reacting off the corners and what they're seeing, because you got guys up in the booth, other assistants talking down the headsets and telling the coach what they're seeing, how are their guys reacting. Hey, that play we thought didn't work good at practice. My God, we just run it. It's wide open. Run it again. So offense is different. I don't think this game is going to come out with the two teams just scoring like halftime. It's going to be, 24-21 Baylor. I may be wrong. I've been wrong in my life. I don't think I'm wrong, but I just think it's going to be a lot. It may get on towards the end where they'll start scoring because the defense is going to get a little tired. And I don't think neither one of them has good enough depth up front to have good depth. Now, you can get a guy to come in and catch a guy, give him a break, give him a blow for a play or two. But to have quality depth up front on the D-line, I don't think either one of them do have quality depth. They do have extra players. I'm not saying that. I think Auburn's D backfield is a little more quality depth. So, again, score-wise, yeah. 31-24 Auburn. Late field goal just to seal it. They get down there and kind of sputter around, run out of gas, but they're trying to just run the clock. Freeze trying to keep the ball. Go down, kick a field goal. It's 28-24. They're up 4. They kick a field goal, something like that. I think Baylor's going to get some of theirs. You got to win this game, Auburn. Go SEC. See you guys.